I can't go another day with this on my mind. And I think it's time for a discussion. Why you so hard? Show me that you love me, baby. Why you so hard? Show me that you care. So many days, so many nights, so many tears. I had to cry. Told me you love me. That was a lie. Loving you was a mistake. 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 Play me like guitar, baby. You only love me for breathing. Play with my emotion, girl. And I don't wanna be your friend. Play me like guitar, baby. Love I have for you is real, yeah. While you're playing with my heart, babe. Let me tell you how I feel, baby. So many days, so many nights, so many tears. I had to cry. Told me you love me. That was a lie. Loving you was a mistake.
All right. We're back once again on the Chatterbox with King Jacob. We're back on this Wisdom Wednesdays, man, and we're back with another star-studded episode, and with a much-needed topic, and it's it's something that I want to know as a man, and I want to hear it from a different point of view besides my own mother's point of view. And so, with that being said, we had a special guest, Miss Sharolyn Jackson, Columbia, South Carolina, is in the building with us. What's happening?
Yes. What's going on? How are you?
I'm doing well. So
Good.
thank you so much for coming on, man. And just to give you guys a little backstory on her, she's a former correctional officer. She's heavily in the church community. She's heavily in her community, period, and she's a beauty consultant. So, you got any blemishes or you need to get some of them good skincare products, she can definitely get you right. For sure.
That's right.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. So, the topic is, the levels of motherhood. And so, with you being a mother and, you raising your children and being in your grandchildren's life, what comes to mind when you think about different levels concerning motherhood?
Well, first I want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity for doing this.
You're welcome.
Well, I have 2 children, biological. I have a boy and a girl, and I have 3 grandchildren. And I am a mother to many others. But today, for me, what I've seen is harder now for young women or women today to raise children because of the way society is now. You have social media, then you have all these other outside entities interfering in their mental, and it's hard. It's really hard. I believe, as far as like with my grandchildren, I look at my grandchildren. I have two girls and a boy, and I sit back and I watch them, and I'm watching the world and listening to the world, and I feel like it's going. As a parent and as a grandparent, we have to stay so so involved and so connected with them. I mean, it's almost scary because when I was growing up, I'm 53, growing up, we can leave, the door open a little bit, and, we can go outside and play without our parents around and not have to be worried and consumed with, okay, where they are, or if somebody's going to, snatch them up. Or, I'm not saying that it didn't happen, but it's not as obvious as it is now. And it's really scary because when my grandson plays baseball, I had to get on my daughter one time. My granddaughter would say, well, mommy, I got to go to the bathroom, and she would send her across the place to go to the restroom. And where is Carter? She went to the bathroom. No, ma'am, that's not what we do. Somebody needs to go with her. So it's I have to remind her, times are not like when we grew up, where we can go out and go by ourselves and go to the restroom, or go shopping or whatever, without having somebody always with us and holding our hands, holding your hand. And it's scary to me. It really is. Even with my daughter being 32, I worry about her, and it's I don't know. This world is just, it freaks me out.
Right, right, right. And so it's funny you say that times are different, and how the young mothers this day and age, it's so different for them. And so with that being said, when you was becoming a mother and you had to prepare for that new life,
Right,
of
right.
being a mother, not thinking about yourself anymore, another mouth to feed, accountability, for raising a child and bringing the child up into the world, how did you prepare yourself on in versus this day and age? You know, is it do you feel like the resources that you had from the older generation prepared you more, or do you feel like the resources that they have now, the knowledge and stuff that they acquire now, does it prepare them more?
I think what I had then, for me, what I had then prepared me, because you had your grandmothers, you have your big mamas, whatever name we used to give them back then, that would, because there is no book in the world that tells you how to teach a child, or how to raise or bring a child or children. And you have to listen. We listen to our older generations, that they gave us things, and not to say everything that they gave us was right, but they gave us tools that we could use to navigate with our children, and help us give them what they needed to grow. The Some of the young adults now, they don't like to take, what I want to say. They don't like to take advice. They don't like advice given to them. You know, you can say, well, if you do this, da 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 da, and it's like, well, I know what I'm doing, I can do. But if you're not listening to what we're telling you, then how can you groom your baby to be, exceptional in a certain place in their life? Because we had to learn how to cook, how to clean, how to do our chores. And when and sometimes we got paid for those chores. It gave us, okay, now I know if I work, I can get paid. And if I get paid, I can put money towards this. Or, and even teaching us money management skills. We had all that when our grandparents and great grandparents and parents taught us those things. Like I said, they were not um, the best at it, but they gave us tools. They tried to break it down as much as they could for us, because they then did not know and understand themselves. They had to learn as they went along and as they grew. And for me, that was the same thing. My grandparents, my mom, and my dad, they taught us what they could teach us. They taught us what they learned along the way, as well as what their parents taught them. So trying to pass it now, I see it's a struggle trying to pass it on to the young adults now, because they don't want to take they don't want to take in what you're trying to tell them. They take it as an insult, or that they're stupid, that they don't know what we're talking about. You don't know, that's old stuff. That's bad way back then. But they fail to understand that some of that stuff that we're teaching them is the same thing that's going to come around full circle.
All right, all right. So we have my people from upstate New York tapping in. Um, you know, appreciate you, appreciate you. So from my understanding, man. So what it looked like to me is like I feel like with growing up with my grandmothers, both of them,
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, man, how they do all this? Uh, one had 8 children, the other one had 9 children, and
Oh yeah.
they were and they raised grandchildren too. And I'm like, man, like they just made it look so easy, but I know it wasn't easy because they came up in those depression type days. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so I know it couldn't have been easy. And so um, black mothers, um, being a black mother and raising black children on this American soil, what are some of the things or the conversations that you have had with your kids when they was growing up, but recently in the last 5 years, you had to readjust that thought pattern and have these conversations again because what we have displayed on the news.
Right.
And just from a mother's perspective, a mother's love, um, what are those conversations like for you? And when having those conversations, I know you being a deep intellectual process, you being in a mental process, emotional process, and you be in your spiritual room as well. Because sometimes with children, you have to kind of find the words to say so they can kind of get it and understand it on the first time, and or just turn on the news and be like, well, I just wanted to show you this. I've been watching this, and this is something that we need to talk about. You,
Right.
you're my children, but you have children as well. So this has to be discussed. Because you're
Right.
traveling out and navigating out through your daily lives. And so, what are those conversations like for you? And because you got a son and you have a daughter,
Right.
and so people don't think there is a difference. There is
Mm-hmm.
a difference. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And so, what are the different conversations that you have with both of them?
Well, I start like, for instance, with my son. My son is 30. He's an over the road truck driver. Been driving trucks 10 years. Being an African American male in this day and time is for as a mother is scary, very scary. And my son is very quiet. He's very quiet. He doesn't bother anybody. He's very low key. But you trigger him with something, then he's gonna go off. He's gonna pop off. It doesn't like, as we always say, stupid stuff. But I have to always tell him, son, I understand. I understand people are making you, you responding this way because somebody did or said, or in your words, something stupid. I said, but you have to remember, you got to be careful. And it's sad and it's unfortunate that I have to keep telling my son, and even to a point where sometimes I have to tell my grandson, you have to be careful about what you say, about what you do, how you respond, how you react, because it's not going to always end well on your end. Even though you may not even be the problem. And 9 times out of 10, you're not the problem, but it's going to be somebody else's problem that's going to fall back on you. And then how you respond to that is going to determine what's going to happen
Right.
sometimes. And sometimes it's just what it is. Something just gonna happen. Regardless how you can come out this thing smelling like roses and everything is, you didn't do anything, and something bad is still may happen. But as me as a mother, I always pray for my children. I pray over my children, over my grandchildren, even anybody that's connected to me. I pray over them because I don't know if somebody else gonna pray over them or not, but I do my part because I
Right.
feel like if nothing else, more than anything, that's the first thing I do. First thing when I wake up, when I go to sleep, and during out my day, I have to because, like I said, as for my son, because he even if he was just here, it still it still scares me. But if he was here, I can get to him faster. But by him being over the road, that's something different. I can't get to him as fast, So having that conversation with him about how to respond to things and how to navigate through through this world and how social, how this society has gotten, it's mind boggling and it's really scary. It to me, it seems like this has always been going on.
Hmm.
But for me, it seems like when COVID hit, it's just like the world just went totally crazy and everything changed. That's how it seemed to me. Just these
Right.
this 2 years, because everybody, it was racism out here. We know it, we see it, we deal with it. Everybody dealt with it here and there, sometime or another. But it's like it just became so loud around this COVID time. It got really, really loud. Everybody really true feelings and emotions came out, and it started directing it at people. And then that's when with my kids, I'm like, please pay attention to your surroundings. Even with my daughter, pay attention to your surroundings because my daughter's the same way. If you say something, and then I have to tell her, babe, it's how you respond. It's not like when mommy was growing up, and because I had a short fuse growing up, so it's not like that anymore. Anything is liable to happen to you. You got people, I tell her how to park her car when she's going into the store. Pay attention to your surroundings. Grab the kids. Make sure you're looking,
Right.
because I don't. That bothers me. That scares me because to know that my grandchildren, somebody can snatch them up in a heartbeat. That scares me. I mean, I know God said, He don't give us the fear, but that scares me.
Right. 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 And so, we're discussing the levels of motherhood, and um, you know, a lot of times, mothers, a lot of mothers, I was reading something on postpartum depression.
Mm,
The things that women go through mentally and emotionally and psychologically after they give birth to a child.
right.
And so I wanted you to touch a little bit about that. You know, um, I've always asked myself, why does that happen? How does that happen? Or was they not mentally and emotionally ready to carry? And that's what happens. Or so
Right.
what is your take? What is your take on that as a mother?
Postpartum depression is real, very real. And as a woman, share this with you, as a woman that I have had to, I am also considered a mental. I have mental issues or whatever you want to how people want to word it, how they want to say it.
Hmm.
I've taken medication for it.
Okay.
Um, but and it's a struggle. It's really hard because as a woman, we wear so many hats,
Yes, of course.
and and sometimes, and even when you wear all these hats, and you're everybody, a lot of people consider you to be that strong person. Being strong, being a strong woman, you we need a release. We need to want to, okay, I need to take a break because we're mothers, we're doctors, we're nurses, we're psychologists, you know we're everything that these children needs, and we're also everything that the spouse needs. So it's so hard trying to wear all these hats sometimes, and then you go and you look at yourself in the mirror and you see yourself and you're looking like, who is this woman in this mirror? This is not, I don't know her. This is not the same woman I used to know before I had kids. Because now my body's changed. My mental has changed because now I'm not I don't have just me to think about. I have a little baby here that I have to think about now. And it's always, can I provide? How can I provide? What can I do? Will this child love me as much as I love it? Or do I love this child? We have so many questions when having a baby about, whether we're going to be good parents or not, or will our parents stuff fall down on us, generational things, will that fall down on us and we pass it on to our children?
Right.
We have a lot that we put on ourselves when we have these children, and thinking about a lot of things. And then here it comes, you have society putting things on us as well, and it's hard. It's really hard to just not think about a lot of things. And I know for me, when I had my son had asthma real bad. I almost lost my son at 10 months. So, here it is. He's in ICU for 14 days. I'm worried about my daughter because somebody have to watch her. Then my 10-month-old son is about to die, and it's a lot. It is a lot. And if you don't have that support system, and having someone there, or your like I said, whoever your support, if it's one person, two people, three people, however people it takes for you to get up, then you need that, because you can't do it by yourself. You really can't. Somebody have to come and take the baby for a minute. You can get yourself together, because it's hard, because we have all these things in our head about how we're going to navigate life with this baby or these babies. It's really hard.
Okay. Yeah, so that's a question, that I always thought about it, because I hear I see so many women, and I read about it all the time, that a lot of them have to break down the birth, and I've, I've read that, sometimes it takes them a whole year to rush. Coming out of hospital, the mother or the grandmother, raise the baby, and so
Right.
they have to, get to know the child, to get to know the mom after that whole year, so it can be rough and dangerous. So I would be in society today. I used to hear my granny say, you should tell my female kids, don't do that, baby girl. Don't dress like that. It's not later. It's not elegant. Not classic. You're not going to be appealing to a man that's have some get up and go about himself. It's all about the way you carry yourself. And so, from those times, that we used to hear that growing up and stuff like that, and to the times now, from what we see, would you say that we talk about motherhood, because a mother teach counts. And with those, the book said, in her means for the woman counts of the mill. And so with that being said, what do you think has happened when it comes to motherhood, on what you see and how you see not all young women, but a lot of young women, dressing so provocative, or, just want to show off too much skin, like,
Right.
Why think do you think it's more um, accepted nowadays? Should I say?
It is. Um, I feel like this. To me, a lot of young ladies, I feel like that they're looking for something. They've missed out on something because there's not a lot of fathers in the home. A lot of the women are doing the upbringing on their
Okay.
own. So
Hmm.
a male figure plays a major role in a household. And even if the man is not in the home, they have to play a role in that daughter's life, because the first
Okay.
love, I feel like, is from the father. That father is that guide, should be that guide, because another woman cannot tell, just like a woman cannot tell a son how to be a man. But it's some things out there that that man
Uh-huh.
can talk to his daughter about. Well, baby, this is what's going on, and this is what I do not want for you. They have to also show in themselves what they want their daughters to see. You
Hmm.
have some young ladies and older, women like myself, who have been through things, who have been maybe sexually abused or raped, and sometimes it takes them to a place of where they become promiscuous because they're looking for something. They're looking for that love. They're looking for that validation. And as with these young ladies, as with us older, mature ladies, we should be able to pull these young girls aside and say, like our grandmothers used to do, no, ma'am, this is not what we need to do. We need to carry ourselves a little better than this. We need to cover up a little bit. You don't want to show all your goods to everybody. You know, we also
Hmm.
play a
Hmm.
part in that as the older generation. I mean, the older people to the younger generation, because if you don't talk to them and tell them, they're gonna get it from the streets. You know, I don't think that, you know, it's so many variables of why younger girls want to dress the way they want to dress. Like I said, dress like they want to dress. Like I said, social media plays a big part in that. Like their upbringing. And even sometimes if their parents are not around them and they're able to do whatever they want to do, or the parents not telling them, they're not teaching them or not showing them, or the parents are doing the same thing that they're doing, hanging out at the club with them, dressing like they're dressing. you know it is crazy. It is so crazy that here it is. For instance, I'm 53. My daughter and all her cousins and all, they go out and they hang out sometimes, but they don't hang out at clubs like that. They hang around each other. They go out, and it's like, mom, or they call me, I have so many that call me mom or call me auntie. You gonna hang around and you're gonna have a couple of drinks with us? No, ma'am. That's not what I do. That's your time. I'm not here to hang around. I'm not gonna be your friend. We're not gonna hang out like that. That's not what we do. So many parents want to be friends and not the parent. So many people want to be the friend and not the auntie, or the responsible auntie, or the responsible grandmother. You know, we play a major role in these young women's lives today, a major role, and we have to show them that you don't have to walk around half naked or wearing stuff so tight that things can't breathe.
Right.
So,
Right. Right. Right.
and I understand that, you know all men are not dogs. All men are not just hounding after you for your body, or a lot of people that I know, a lot of the men that I know are intellectual men. They're going for the mind. They're going for the mind first. If you can communicate and have, I mean, not everything come out your mouth is a cuss word. you know
Hmm.
those things play a part in how you're going to live, how you're going to live your life, how you want your children to live their lives, because they're watching, they listening, they move, they're going to move how you move,
Right, right,
you
right,
know.
right. You're right.
It,
Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah.
Shout out to DJ Wiz from the Snow Hill, Maryland area, Eastern Shore, Maryland area, tapping in with us. We appreciate you, brother,
Okay.
for sure. Yeah, we definitely appreciate you. So, okay, so um, motherhood and working for the South Carolina Department of Corrections. Woo
Yes.
wee, have mercy, have mercy. Listen, I can say ooh we on that because my pops did that for 30 years. So, you know, and my pops was a white shirt. So, you know, yeah, yeah. So yeah,
What you know about that white shirt?
yeah. I know all about that white shirt, and he was on the rep team. You know what I mean? So
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah. So with that being said, motherhood part uh, being a mother and an auntie to your son and daughter friends that didn't have that support system. That's a lot. That's a lot. So some of the stories that you've seen while being in that correctional facility working, like my pops used to tell me some stories that I'm gonna be honest with you, that literally scared the shit out of me. For real. Like real talk. Like real talk. Like what?
Right.
Huh? You're like, yeah. So and then when you have friends that you grow up with and your pops have to see them behind the wall every day, be like, man, this dude used to come to cookouts and eat at my mama dinner table, and now my dad gotta look at him and he be like, Mr. Jacob, I shouldn't even be here. Wrong crowd. You know,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
so that balance of motherhood and being a lieutenant, you know, at a correctional facility, um, how did you kind of, you know, create that balance of not, because you know it takes a different type of mental, emotionally, spiritual person to work in a facility like that, and then come home to shed it off to raise their children. And so, how did you create that balance?
You know, being in law enforcement altogether is, I don't, be it corrections or a street cop or whatever, it is really mental because it takes a lot. It changes, if you let it, it would change, it will make you change your whole mindset about people, period.
Hmm.
It really will. Um, I raising my kids and being in corrections, because I saw a lot. I also had to teach them and tell them stories about things that happen, or, you know, or I even gone to even teach them the 10 code.
Wow.
I did. So I sometimes I have to, you need to 1025 my 20. They
Mhm.
already knew what that meant, you
Right,
know.
right,
So,
right.
but I had to teach them about, being, from going, we have these young people that's in DJJ. When they get a certain age, you have to come to, we call it the big boy house,
Hmm. Hmm.
you know. So, I had to tell my kids, if you're out here doing stuff that you're not supposed to be doing, right from wrong. You get put behind the wall. I'ma love you, but I can't do nothing for you. Now, if you out here and you defending
Uh-huh.
yourself, or you defending me, and something happens, oh, I got you all day long. You
Right.
have to make the conscious decision on how you're going to handle a certain situation. I've told them, my daughter one time, I allowed her to do a visit at the female prison, and of course, when they do the walk through or whatever, and my daughter came back out, I said, so what about it? I said, so what did you think about it? Man, they just looking at me all crazy. And so you didn't get nothing out of it. No, I wasn't scared. Okay.
So it's funny you say that, man. I could be somewhere, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'd be like, I have some. I see somebody walk. Like I can be in a Walmart, or I see somebody walk by me, right? And they'd be like, you you Lieutenant Anderson's son? I was like, yeah. They be like, man, listen, brother. I don't know you, but I love you because you your daddy's boy. They tell
Uh-huh.
me all the time, if it wasn't for your daddy
Right.
telling me what to do, how to do it, who not to be around, he's like, man, I probably would have still been behind that wall.
But
And
that comes from when an inmate or ex inmate, when they see you, it's all about how you treat them behind the wall.
mm-hmm,
They're still human.
mm-hmm,
You have to treat them all. You can't pick and choose how you're going to treat them. You have to treat them all the same across the board for the most part. When you say, okay, if one of the inmates come to you and say, well, Lieutenant Jackson, I need you to look into this. Something's going on at my house. Well, can you check on this? Why my meal is this? Or why can't I go see the doctor? Don't tell them that you're going to do it and don't do it, because they're going to come back and ask you about it. Then they're going to feel some type of way. If you're going to do your job or do the job, you have to do the job. You can't half do it, and you can't treat them like they're nobodies. Now,
right,
granted, I've had quite a few, because when I first started, I started at Manning Prison. I was there for a couple of years. Then I left there and I started driving the prison buses. I drove prison buses for 10 years throughout the entire state of South Carolina. And we also did extraditions to other states to pick up, inmates and bring back to South Carolina. So I've had my fair share of whatever you can probably think of, but at the end, I used to have to, of course, most of most of the people I work with were men. So here it is. I'm a 5'1.5" woman and a big hole in her face. So when another inmate, a male inmate come at me, oh, I'm going to give it back to him.
mm-hmm.
And because of that, because I didn't break, because I did not, give in, because I did not treat them no different, I got that respect. They never
Right,
disrespected me. Or if another inmate came in and they tried to disrespect me, those other inmates, that's not what you're going to do to LT. We don't have that over here. She good. Because I treated them all with respect. And with going back with my children, like I tell them, respect goes a long way.
mm-hmm,
Respect goes a long way. No,
yeah.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. No, sir. Thank you. Please goes a long way. You're going to have to give it if you want to get it.
And I feel like if people, if you have parents that work in law enforcement,
Right.
and from what I've seen with with some of my other friends, white friends, black friends, Mexican friends,
Right.
um, those type parents sit down and really talk to you about the laws, or talk to how to address the police officer, or talk to you about the questions that the police officer is going to ask you, or talk to you about where you're supposed to have your hands at, and and I think a lot of times, man, you know, kids learn a lot of music they hear, but man, these
Mm-hmm.
laws are so important to know, because knowing the law can save your life.
Right.
Because once the officer understands that you know the law, and you know how the laws work, they kind of view you different. They be like, "Oh, this is an intelligent person. He
Hmm.
pays attention to the laws. He pays attention to his mayor, his city councilman, his congressman, his,
Right.
his senator, who's in the House of Representatives, and so they kind of address you different. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, and I feel like understanding the law and knowing the law, and understanding who is your local government body,
Right.
and, and how they affect you, and why they affect you, and how they can help you as well, makes a difference when it comes to teaching children or parenting, or
Right.
or if you have that that type of mother that understands proper etiquette. So
Right.
you don't ever, and we're talking about motherhood. So a son, especially, if his mother is a certain way and has a certain type of etiquette, and speaks a certain type of language, and his mother, walks and represents herself with class and elegance, and she represents their father, and you know that, oh, that's such and such wife. You man, do you see how well she represent him? You know what I mean? Like, and so when that young man start looking for that wife, or looking for that significant other, he looks for something, a model of his mom.
Right. Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's just a lesson that he's learned while he was seeing you go through motherhood. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And,
Right.
and, and,
But you know,
and
I didn't mean to cut you off, but you see, and that's just now because as a mother to a son, so that's why it's that same thing that a mother and son have, a daughter should have that with their father. You see what I'm
right,
saying? But a father, I mean, because they're not in the household, or even if they're not in the household, their presence still makes a big difference
it does.
because you want that daughter to find that role model of that good, wholesome, hardworking, loving, nurturing man that father should be and should be
Hmm.
just like the mother for
Hmm.
the son. You know.
Right, right. And you have your, like I tell people, a person have their mother, they have their community mother, and they have what you call the mother of the church. Huh?
Yeah.
Huh? You
Yeah.
don't hear me. You don't hear me. You know what
That's
I'm saying?
right.
So they have the mother of the church. So, cause you always had that lady in the community. Oh, everybody her kids. You know what I mean? No matter what. Like if you at her house, if you at her house, you definitely gonna eat. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And if you doing something, she gonna chastise you, and your granny gonna get a call. You know what I mean? So 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 that's the era we grew up in, and so
Yeah.
but then you have that young that that lady that always got the white hat cocked to the side, and she always got her Bible snooked up on her armpit when she walked into the church.
Hmm.
And she always sat on that front left pew. You know, what I'm saying, and she and she lead all the hymns. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean?
Uh-huh.
And she well respected, whether she in the church or whether she outside the church. Every,
Yes.
everybody know Miss So and So name, and
Yeah.
so I tell people all the time, you know, versus nowadays than versus those days. And I think a lot of kids had, some people might want to call them OGs, but everybody had a Mr. Earl, a Mr. Jim, or Mr. Tommy, or
Yeah.
a Mr. Sammy that they can go on the porch and talk to. He's sipping on his his iced tea and smoking his tobacco pipe, and he got his legs crossed and reading newspaper.
Yeah.
And he's just teaching you about some real life.
Hmm.
Telling you about what he had to go through, telling you the only times that he can go through when they had to pick all type of fruits to make money,
Right.
or or telling you how they had to get up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and milk cows, and and telling you how he had to work and go to school, or telling you how his brother had to quit school to help the family.
Right.
And so I think that a lot of times we are missing, when it comes to motherhood and fatherhood, those elderly res- respected leaders in the community. You
Right.
know what I mean? That you can sit there and build with, and they really tell you about stuff. So when it comes to motherhood, I just know that you learn daily. No matter how old you get, you still gonna learn something.
You'll learn.
And I say it all the time. You know, and I just think that motherhood definitely got to be appreciated more, because
Yeah.
the closest thing to death for a woman is when she's on the operating table giving birth to a child. She don't know if she gonna come back home or not.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? And so we definitely got to respect that, honor that, and appreciate that. And I just want to thank you for coming on and chopping it up with me. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
you're welcome. I
It's
enjoyed
been,
it.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Me too. It's been a very, very, deep, family oriented, intellectual type conversation, man. I definitely appreciate it. So,
Well, I
and
appreciate the opportunity. I thank you for reaching out to me.
no doubt, no doubt. So, we're gonna get out of here, and the wonderful Miss Sharolyn Jackson, Columbia, South Carolina. Look her up. You know what I mean? If you need some of them skincare products, or if you are an inspiring young person that's thinking about going to law enforcement, whether it's juvenile justice, whether it's becoming a criminal justice lawyer, or just whether it's coming out of high school and being a correctional officer cadet. She can definitely help you with that as well.
Oh yeah.
You,
Yeah.
you know, So until the next time, I just want to say peace, love, soul, and continue to stay blessed by God. All right. Talk to y'all
All
soon.
right.
Peace.